friends. We came in singing that song from Oklahoma. Oh, what a beautiful morning. And the reason that we were singing it is because, oh, what a beautiful morning it is here in Kingston, Jamaica. Welcome to all those who are here in the sanctuary, worshiping with us at the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living. And welcome to all those who are worshiping with us online. It is a wonderful morning in which to say the opening treatment. All things begin with prayer here at the center. Let us go within. Please join me. God is all there is. And God is in this beautiful morning at this beautiful Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living in the beautiful island of Jamaica. And as the golden light pours down on the pink hibiscus, the green grass, the beautiful trees around the temple, we too open our hearts, open our minds to let God's blessings pour into our hearts, into our very being, so that we are filled from the top of our heads to the soles of our feet, and in reverse order. And that light of God, those blessings of God radiate from us and fill the spaces around us and influence the friends and the family and all those around us. And this whole community shines this morning, this blessed Sunday morning, with God's peace and joy and love and abundance. And because we are opening our hearts and minds, because of this prayer, these words of thanksgiving to God for its blessings, for the life of God, our spirits are lifted up. The whole atmosphere of the place is lifted up. And this becomes a more beautiful and more joyful day, because we have willed it so. We have accepted God's blessings. And all these make it so. And I release my words to the law of mind, giving thanks that indeed, as I have spoken, it is so. And together we say, and so it is. We're going to invite Tyrell Query to come and deliver our inspirational reading.
Today's inspirational reading is a poem written by our own Aunt Lilith Nelson and published in our Ministry of the Environment e-newsletter. Living the Truth Triumphantly. Lessons from wildlife, forest, water, meteorology, alive to the truth we reside. Perplexity we put aside, the floral and fauna all seem prepared. Why should we wonder as ones who are scared? We label some wildlife, yet isn't it weird that they are in sync with the ebb and the flow of seasons and reasons they all seem to know? They flourish as needed, then some hibernate, aware of the need to be still, for it's late. And some seem to heed the meteorological call, the season of dryness, then welcome rainfall. The time for the springing, the blossoms and growth, the triumph of sequence that the Creator controls. Oh, that we would heed the lesson so clear, embrace all with triumph as the truth drives out fear. And so it is.
So it is.
I would now light the youth candle. I light this candle on behalf of all the youth of the world. Let us behold the Christ in them. And so it is.
So it is.
The blessing. We love you. We appreciate you. We salute the Christ in you. We see you as shining lights unto your world. God is blessing you now. And so it is. The Temple Mission song. Please stand. Temple of light, temple of light, temple of light. We are a people with vision. To bless, to prosper.
Anytime. After that rousing Temple of Light mission song, ending with the famous Yay, we are going to sing a rather gentler song. The praise song found on page 2 of your program, and those who are online will have it on their screens. The mission song you can spell. Thank you. Don't sit. Please join me now in the prayer of our center. It's found on your screen or in a flyer in an insert in your program. The prayer of our center. Together? The Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living, is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community, from which the Christ, peace, love, and joy emanate, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and to liberate anyone who comes into contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment. We are blessed, and to God be the honor and the glory forever. And so it is. Thank you. You may sit. And as you sit, I will read the announcements. For today, Sunday, April 3, the first Sunday in the month. And a passing observation, the year is really speeding by. Our flowers this week reflect the creativity of spirit expressed through Mrs. Faye Kessler. And she used flowers donated by loving members of our community. Thank you, Faye. And our other flower angels. I'd like to welcome those who are visiting our church, whether in person or online, for the first time. Is there anybody really in church, in the sanctuary, for the first time? No, we seem to be all family in the sanctuary. Perhaps there's somebody fresh online. Whether you're in the sanctuary or online, we welcome you to our hearts and to our beautiful Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living. We trust any newcomers will come again and again to share your consciousnesses with us. Live streaming. We continue to live stream every Sunday at 9 a.m. and on Tuesdays for the Tuesday service at 6 p.m. The recording is also available later on YouTube. And here is the schedule for the numerous activities that are taking place at our church. There is Wisdom Circle right after this service. Please join Angela, our musical director, as she facilitates Wisdom Circle. Today, we will be discussing the writings of New Thought luminary, Dr. Tom Johnson, and the book from which our ruminations and discussions are taken is his book, Lessons from the Source. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, starting at the early hour of 6 a.m., please join Rev John Scott for quiet moments in the garden. This is a session that is becoming increasingly popular. And because the day is beginning earlier, it won't be quite so difficult for people to get out of bed and join Reverend John Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays online at 6 a.m. It's a refreshing and insightful early morning start to our day. Spiritual enrichment service is on Tuesdays at 6 on Facebook and Zoom platforms. This week, our presenter is Reverend Sonia Davidson, and the link is sent out from our mailing list. The events of the week continue on Thursday with prayer power, and this begins at 6 a.m. Thursday evenings and comes to you 6 p.m. 6 p.m. not 6 a.m. like Reverend John. comes to you via Zoom. Again, the link is sent out on Thursday morning from our mailing list. Classes continue on Tuesdays at 7 on Zoom with Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, facilitated by me, Rev Michael Reckord. They continue on Thursday mornings at 11 a.m. Then you can join Reverend John for a face-to-face class, and that's entitled Spiritual Principles and Practices. And then also on Thursday at 7, we have Reverend Ann Shandon, Reverend Sonia Davidson, leading a Zoom class titled Leave Your Nets, a very, very interesting, energetic, lively class, Thursday evenings from 7 to 9. The contribution for classes is $1,200 Jamaican, or $10 US for registered members, and $1,600 Jamaican dollars, or $12 US for those who are not registered members. Prayer support. We continue to respond to all your requests for prayer. A practitioner is available to pray with you immediately following our service every Sunday. On duty this Sunday is Reverend Ann Shand, and the number to call, 876-289-0907. And if you'd like to speak to a minister, call 876-289-0907, the same number, Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. until 12 midnight. Ministers on call all day. Donations, tithes, and offerings. To financially support our ministry, kindly visit our donate page at donate.templeoflightcsl.org, which has all our banking details. We thank you so much for your generosity and for helping us to be a beacon of light. That's what we want to be, a beacon of light in the world. And this concludes our announcements. Now kindly join us in the singing of our first hymn, Lord of the Universe. The words are in your program if you're in the sanctuary and on your screen online. Please stand.
We
please sit and prepare for the highlight of the service. The high point of the service is the encouragement by our pastor, Rev John Scott, and I look forward to his encouragement this morning because he whispered in my ear earlier that he has chosen the title, and please note the alliterations, the parable of the pink pui. So I suspect that we will be getting something really poetic this morning. The parable of the pink pui by our pastor, Reverend John Scott. Over to you, sir.
I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is oppressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast. A tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Reverend Michael, for your wonderful introduction. Thank you, Angela, for being the music in my ministry. Thank you all, worldwide spiritual family. It is a joy to welcome you with that song, Trees, from a poem by Joyce Kilmer, set to music by a man called Rasbach. Sounds like a Rastafarian, but I think he's European. And all of it was inspired this morning by the e-newsletter produced by our Ministry of the Environment, the March e-newsletter. I hope you have seen it. It is just a wonderful celebration of the breathtaking surroundings in which our beautiful Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living are set. We're like a jewel set in the middle of the New Kingston area, like an oasis in the heat of the city. It is green, it is surrounded by flowers of every hue, and in our garden there are poetries. In that issue of the e-magazine, they have a picture of a yellow pui in full bloom. And the poem that Terrell so beautifully read by our own Aunt Leaf Nelson was also a powerful influence to me. It's also in that magazine. And so it took me back to 2003 when I was just licensed as a minister of religious science, and we had come back, Reverend Michael, Reverend Sonia Davidson, Reverend Ann Shand, and Reverend Errol Thomas. We had just come back from from the intensive and from being licensed as ministers. And my first Sunday back at the temple, the pink pui is not as prolific in its blooming as the yellow. But when the one over by our Sunday school blooms, it is a miracle of beauty. And when I got back that first Sunday after the intensive at Asilomar in California, it was in full flight. And this parable came to me. It came in its entirety into my consciousness. And I wrote it as a tribute to our founding minister, Reverend Dr. Elmer Lumsden, who, of course, had prepared us for ministry and who was my mentor, my spiritual mother, my coach, my divine slave driver. See, you know, I was just telling Angela in the prayer room before our service that I used to and still do wear outrageously colored socks. And one Sunday I had on one with the fires of hell lapping up my ankles, bright orange flames. And after the service she said, "John dear, wonderful talk, but you mustn't wear anything that distracts your audience from the message." And I said, "Yes, Reverend, tell me, but it's my signature." And that Christmas, she gave me 5 pairs of black socks. But standing under that pink pui tree, I could just hear the master teacher. "Verily, verily, I say unto you, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a pink pui tree, planted by a great truth teacher at the gate of the temple. And the tree took root in the fertile Jamaican soil and grew strong and tall, spreading its branches to the heavens in a wordless sermon on life, offering its unconditional love to all." And then I could hear the master admonishing us, "But you pass daily, hardly giving it a thought, oblivious to the law of growth governing the young lives that learn and play in its shade every Sunday." And then one day in April, the master said, without warning, the pink pui burst into bloom, a pink cloud against an azure sky. And people passing stopped and marveled at the beauty of God's handiwork. My friends, how often the Creator presents us with proof positive that we live in a universe of such miraculous beauty and such truth that if we could just stop, even occasionally, to imbibe it, to drink it in, our lives would be amazingly different in so many different ways. And so the great teacher who planted the tree, the master continues in the parable, and who had always known its awesome potential, breathed a prayer of thanksgiving for the fruits of her labor over the years. She had planted many such seeds and watered them with her love, and now she could rest from her labors, knowing that the seeds she had planted would bear abundant fruit, each after its own kind. What a lesson. If you plant a mango seed, you get mangoes, juicy and ripe when they come to fruition. And if you plant callaloo, you won't get Scotch bonnet peppers. And if you plant okra, you won't get tomatoes. What a law. The law that what you plant takes root in the fertile soil of your mind, of your subconscious, and produces after its own kind. And you will excuse me if I'm a little emotional, because, my friends, I was one of those seeds the great teacher planted. and she knew me very, very well. And you are well too. I never forget, coming from a Catholic upbringing, we as students for the ministry had as part of our training to visit all the various denominations in our country, in our area where we lived, and to write a report on all of them. So we visited all of the various churches. But I didn't bother with the Catholic one because we know that. And we were to leave for our final exams or intensive on a Sunday afternoon, I think it was. And on Saturday evening at 5:30, she called and she said, "John, dear, I haven't received your report on the Catholic Church." I said, "Reverend, I was a Catholic. I'm a recovering Catholic. I don't need to write anything. I know that already." She said, "You might know it, but Religious Science International doesn't know that you know. Let me have the report before we board the flight tomorrow afternoon." If anybody says, "Have all your students completed their reports?" I have to tell the truth, John. So it's 5:30, me just don't even hold a fresh. Me just drop into a shirt and pants and rush up to Stella Maris Church up the road from which part me live and went to Mass. And while I was actually in the church, I wrote the report. Yeah. Must be half a page, but that was enough for her. So she was a stickler for the law. And there was no playing with that at all, because she believed and taught that spiritual laws are even more exact than man-made laws. We can try and bend and twist and go around and come around with the man-made laws, but spiritual law is perfect. And when she planted a poet tree, she meant to have poise in the fullness of God's time. And so, my friends, as we approach Easter, I want us to remember that the resurrection is here and now in the natural world. We see it in nature, but we can also see it in the hearts and minds of persons as the potent life force that constantly renews body, mind, cell. It renews our thoughts, our insights, and the physical instrument we use to experience life on this plane of activity. It renews our consciousness and our ability to perceive and to experience life from higher and higher octaves of spirituality and wisdom and love and power. So we students of the science of mind and spirit know that life comes into manifestation, my friends, in all created forms. And as our Declaration of Principles reminds us, the manifest universe, the universe that we see around us, the physical universe, is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. God knows itself as each blade of grass, as each pebble on the beach, as each wave in the ocean, as each blossom on our bougainvilleas that are now in riotous bloom, as in every puey before it falls to the ground in a yellow or a pink carpet so beautiful that it takes your breath away. The Creator, manifesting itself in all of creation, is experiencing life in each and every one of you. Think about that, my friends. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every move you make is actually a song of praise, a psalm of thanksgiving to that which called you into being, and beholding you with eyes of ineffable love said, this is good. This is very good. When you bake a cake or you do something and it's just perfect and you say, a score. That is what the Creator feels for each one of us. So let us set our intention to be mindful of the resurrecting power in the healing of body and mind. We used to sing a hymn when I was in Sunday school. New every morning is the love our wakings and arisings prove. Every time you open your eyes, you are resurrecting. You are rising again to glorify the Creator. You know, my friends, one of the things we do as a practice to renew our minds and to reaffirm our divinity and the potential that it was in the seed of perfection that God spake into being and called it by our names. One of the tools that we use is spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. And if you don't know how to do a spiritual mind treatment, I really urge you to join a class at a Center for Spiritual Living somewhere near you or online. And if you do know how to, but like everything else, you may be a little rusty and you want to improve your fluency and your comfort in speaking words of truth, then come to a class. It is just amazing. You know, I have for the last 12 weeks been missing my yoga class, and so I know I'm stiffer, and that I need the mat. And so I told Sunita Burrows, who is my yoga guru, that I will be at her center, Afia, as soon as those classes are finished. And so this Wednesday, I hope she will look for me. Because you get rusty. You see, if you don't practice, I always say, you know, we have members of this church who are regular with their exercise. Me, when I feel exercise coming on, I sit down until the feeling passes. You know, it's in my next incarnation, though. Right now, I'm fooling myself that the yoga class once a week is enough, but it's not. But even if you are a regular exerciser and you miss a class, and it's really, if you miss a session at the gym, you'll be amazed. Or you walk in the mornings and you miss one morning because it's slightly rainy. Before you know what, you have missed 2 mornings, and then 3, and then a month, and then 6 months. And then you're saying to people, boy, I no exercise since COVID, you know, that's 2 years. So my friends, learn to pray affirmatively. You really need to practice so that prayer becomes a part of your daily routine, like washing your face or brushing your teeth. And Jesus taught that the overcoming, you know, we admire and we celebrate his overcoming, but we really have to do the overcoming ourselves. And I'm smiling because sometimes I give my class, we're doing spiritual practices and principles on a Thursday morning, face to face, and I give them an assignment for the next week, and everybody groans, you know. Oh Lord, that is a lot of assignment. But yes, we have to do the work. We have to do the overcoming. It can't be done for us. And we need to do it, my friends, until we can say, as the master teacher said, I am the resurrection and the life. In fact, let us say that together right now. I am the resurrection and the life. Say it in a half voice. I am the resurrection and the life. Say it in a whisper. I am the resurrection and the life. Say it in your heart. Some people found that difficult to say, no? Because we think that when we say it, we are even up ourselves with Jesus. But you know, the punctuation can make a difference to you, you know, because it can be, I am, the resurrection and the life. So think of it that way if you find it difficult to say how Jesus said it. I am, me, John, the resurrection and the life. And you know, friends, it's not too hard to grasp when you consider that every cell of your body is renewed. I forget what length of time it takes for your body to be completely renewed and revitalized and rejuvenated. But it happens on a continuing basis. So you are indeed the embodiment of the resurrection process, the life process that unfolds forever and ever becoming better and better. I believe I shared with you all a few Sundays ago the good news that we have started again at the Adult Correctional Center in downtown Kingston, the prison for men. We have resumed our Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life classes. So last Tuesday was the third week. And I had a new cohort, so as I was waiting for the class, all the participants to assemble in the chapel where we were having the class, just to make conversation, and to kind of connect with the individuals. I said to a young man, so he said, I've been here almost 2 years. So I said, and what is life in prison like for you? And he said, what is it like for me? It's like a merry-go-round. So me trying now to engage a little more conversation, I said, oh, that's an interesting analogy. I love merry-go-rounds. He said, because when you're tired of it, you can come off. But you see in here, you wake up a morning and you struggle through the day and hope say you're going to catch up with a guard or another inmate until them lock you down in the afternoon. And then if you're lucky, you get to fall asleep. And next day you wake up and you struggle through the day. And you're lucky if you catch up with a guard or an inmate, a fellow, you're cellie. And when them lock you down, maybe you get to fall asleep. And the next day, and he went on, he said it about 5 or 6 times. He said, up and down, like a merry-go-round. Round and round, but you're not going nowhere. Wow. Sometimes they bring me to tears, because they are so profound. And I said, that's not living, my friend. That is survival. But I want you to know, listen to me. Life does not have to be a merry-go-round. Up and down, and you're not going away. Because you have within you the resurrecting power to lift yourself above the steel bars and the old bricks, and the sign over the door that says, none shall escape. That is what's over the last door on your way out of the prison. You can't get away. And that is so true, because you cannot escape the laws of heaven, the laws of God. And there are many of us, my friends, who are not behind bars and old bricks, but we are imprisoned in blame, shame, and regret. We are imprisoned in unforgiveness. We are imprisoned by what we say in Jamaica, malice and envy and licky-lickiness. But we can rise above it. And so your assignment, should you decide to undertake it, is every morning between now and Easter, as you awaken and about to get out of bed, say out loud, I am the resurrection and the life. Say it aloud, say it in a half voice, then say it in a whisper, and finally, before you head for the bathroom, say it in your heart. I am the resurrection and the life. And let that be your mantra every day from now until Easter morning. And I want you to share with me at some time the difference that has made in your consciousness. Because you are planting a seed in your subconscious mind that will take such strong root that when you come into full bloom in the truth of your divinity and who you are as a beloved planting of the divine creative process, the Lord God of your life, you will be amazed at the beauty of your blooming, of your blossoming, of your fruiting, and of your life. With my friend in the program at Tower Street, when everybody had gathered and the class began, I deviated from the lesson plan. And I gave them a visioning exercise, which we have been doing in our Thursday morning class, Spiritual Principles and Practices. And this practice that I taught them was the practice of visioning. Now, visioning is different to visualization. When you visualize, it means that you close your eyes and you think about the thing that you want. You can see yourself in that new gown that you saw in the shop window, or you can see yourself driving the new vehicle that you want. You can smell the leather and feel the power of the response of the engine to your metal to the floor. That's visualizing what you want to achieve and what you want to experience. But visualization is becoming still and asking Spirit to give you some direction. Sorry, visioning, I'm sorry. Visioning is asking Spirit. Thank you. Wow, you're paying attention. I am very happy. You are indeed the resurrection and the life. Visioning is asking Spirit to direct you. And you can vision any aspect of your life you want. So with the guys in Tower Street, I said, close your eyes, take 3 deep centering breaths, and vision with me. And there are just 4 questions you need to ask when you're visioning. The first is, what is Spirit's highest idea for my life today? What is Spirit's highest idea for my life today? And just have a piece of paper and pencil handy and write down anything that comes to you. Sometimes it mightn't even make sense. It mightn't even be words. It may be a sound or a feeling. Just record it. It has meaning. What is Spirit's highest idea of my life today? And after you have written down anything that comes to you, take another deep breath and go back inside to that place of love where you reside, that sanctuary in your heart. And ask the second question. What do I have to be or become in order for Spirit's idea of my life to come to fruition? What do I have to be or become in order for Spirit's highest idea for my life to come to fruition? So you see, the first question was, what is Spirit's highest idea for my life? And the second question is, so okay, what do I have to be or become in order for that to happen? Again, record anything that comes to you. And go back inside, back to that sanctuary of peace and love that is in your heart. And ask the third question. And this is the biggie. What do I have to release or let go? What do I have to release or let go, which may be blocking the demonstration of God's vision for my life? That's a big frog to swallow. That you may be doing something, thinking something, or being something that is blocking the divine flow. It's like a hose from the garden pipe, and there's a kink in it. And so the water is flowing, but it can't come out. What do I need to release or let go in order for Spirit's highest idea of my life to begin to grow like that poetry and take root and nourishment from the soil and to provide shelter for others and shade for those who are weary? What is Spirit's highest idea, number 1? Number 2, what do I have to be or become in order to be that? Number 3, what do I have to let go of? And then finally, we always ask, is there anything else we need to know right now? Is there anything else, not necessarily about what you were just asking, anything else in my life I need to know right now? And again, just be still and write anything that comes to you. And my friends, if you make this a regular practice, I can tell you, it gets easier and easier. when you first start, maybe just a few things come to you, and they mightn't even make sense. But as the days go by, things will begin to fall into place. You have to practice. Ask Angela Elliott if you want to learn piano or violin or whatever you want to learn in music. You can go to Angela's music studio. And what is the number one rule? Practice, practice, practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. How do you get to the kingdom of heaven, which is like unto a poetry? Practice, practice, practice. And so, my friends, my prayer for each of you is that you will come to the deep knowledge that you have within you the resurrecting power that was in Christ Jesus. That same power, the power of overcoming, the power of rising up in consciousness to the highest vibrations of human and divine experience. You have it, but you have to practice accessing it. So that, to coin a poetic phrase, after you have practiced diligently, the voice of truth, that still small voice, will whisper in your very soul, have no fear, have no fear. The pui will bloom another year. Namaste.
No, that was not only poetic, it was very rich. And I'm going to very quickly sum up some of the important points, just some. Reverend John spoke about the law of growth. And this law governs plants, it governs animal life, it governs all of life, this law of growth. There are two aspects of it which Reverend John mentioned. There are others, but there are two on. First of all, we live in a universe of miracles and beauty. Always beauty, always miracles. And we should appreciate that beauty by feeling grateful. And what you feel grateful for, you get more of. And the law, another aspect of the law of growth, is you get what you plant. You plant a corn seed and you will get corn. But not only that, you will get it in abundance. So when you plant one mango seed, you get a whole tree full of mangoes, and the mangoes go on bearing for years and years and years and years. That is the law of growth. So whatever it is that you plant, you know that that will grow. So be careful of what you plant. And Reverend John reminded us of this very important thing, that spiritual laws are even more exact than man-made laws. And another very, very important aspect of his talk was this distinction between visualization and visioning. Now, visualization is, as it were, a step ahead of visioning. You visualize when you know what you want, and you imagine yourself in that situation, enjoying what it is that you want. That's visualization. With visioning there, though, you're not sure of what you want. And so you go within and you ask Spirit, what is it really that I should be moving towards in my life? You're not sure, so you ask Spirit. And you can be absolutely sure that God will answer you. God is speaking to us all the time, but unfortunately, we're not always listening. If you want to hear more about visualization and visioning, make an appointment to see Reverend John. Whether you are here in Jamaica and can see him face to face, or you have to do it via some online platform. Very, very important, this matter of visioning and visualization, two very powerful spiritual practices. And he said other things, but let us move on. This is the very first Sunday in April, and so we have to call Reverend John back to the lectern and the microphone, because he's going to give us his very special birthday blessings for those who are having a birthday this month. Would those people please stand?
April birthdays, stand, and if you're at home, stand too. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear loved ones. Happy birthday to you. God is blessing you now. 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 Happy birthday to you. So verily, verily, I say unto you, the kingdom of heaven is like unto those people who God has planted on this plane of activity to celebrate a birthday in the month of April. And I am knowing that their roots go deep into the soil. It is nourished by the word of God. And their branches reach up into the very heaven of their consciousness as they bear fruit, each according to its own kind. And I am knowing that from the center of their being to the circumference of their conscious awareness, these souls celebrating a birthday in April live, move, and manifest their lives in a victorious state of fulfillment to the honor and glory of the Creator, God, who beheld them with eyes of ineffable love and said, "This is good and very good." And so by the power, the resurrecting power of the Christ indwelling each and every one of them, I say, God loves you. The universe supports you. Your spiritual family is overjoyed that you walk the earth at this time, sharing the beauty of your consciousness with all humankind. Happy birthday. Happy new you. You are the resurrection and the life. And so it is. Amen. And so, my friends, we have a special treat. The angelic voice of Deandra Suko singing the tree song. Help me welcome her.
I saw a tree by the riverside one day as I walked a tree in the city streets where buildings blocked the sun. Green and lovely, I could see it brought joy to everyone. How do you grow in the city streets? I said to the downtown tree. This is the song that my tree friend sang to me. I've got roots growing down to the water. I've got leaves growing up to the sunshine. And the fruit that I bear is a sign of life in me. I am shade from the hot summer sundown. I am nest for the birds of the heaven. I'm becoming what the Lord of trees has meant me to be. A strong, strong tree. A strong, strong tree.
She's in full bloom. A strong, strong tree. Bless you, Deandra, and your beautiful voice. Thank you, Angela, and thank you all for receiving it in the consciousness of beauty that each of us brings to this Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living, Sunday after Sunday, service after service. Wow, my heart full. In that consciousness, let us stand and say the prayer of Jamaica, which is on the flyer in your program and also on screen. And I want to thank our technical team for really giving us the support that we need for these love streams every Sunday. Let's give them a round of applause. That is the stuff of which our church, our island, and our world is made. Together, the prayer of Jamaica. The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established, and so it is. You hear the fruits that we bear? In those words, we are bearing the God qualities that those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, the right useness of spiritual law, can triumph and rise above the vicissitudes of life on the planet to create a world in which humankind returns to Godkind, to the honor and glory of God. In that consciousness, join me in our second hymn, This Is My Father's World. It's on page 3 and on your screen.
This is my Father's word, and to my listening
So let us take our loving gifts in our hands. And if you are at home and about to press the donate.templeoflightcsl.org button, just put your hand on your heart and say with us lovingly, I give. Joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase and multiply. Bless, prosper and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of my financial affairs. So be it. Thank you, Father. And so it is. And my friends, we bless these love offerings. We bless the offerings of time, talent, treasure, the offerings of service that so ennoble and enrich and bless our Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living. And so as we go from this place, we go in the knowledge that we are the beloved expressions of something so awesome, so beautiful, that we can only bloom where we have been planted to its honor and glory. And our heart proclaims with Jesus the Christ, I am the resurrection and the life. This is the truth as we rise up in consciousness to greater and greater understanding of God, to wider and wider expressions of peace and love. In gratitude that we can worship and love and share in a world that truly works for all. I know this to be the truth, and I release it to law in absolute gratitude and joy that it is already so. And so it is. And let us sing, Yes, There is Peace. Friends, please stay behind for our wisdom circle this morning in the sanctuary as we explore the writings of New Thought luminary Tom Johnson. And then join me tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that will be 7 on daylight saving, for another quiet moment in the garden. And on Tuesday, Reverend Anne will delight us with, Reverend Sonia will delight us with a message for the midweek. And then, oh, there's so much we're doing here. On Thursday morning, my class. On Thursday evening, Reverend Sonia's class. Tuesday evening, there is Reverend Michael's class. Just look at that flyer in your brochure about all that we are offering, and know that you are an important part of this outreach, this movement of truth and light and love and joy into the world. God bless you and have a wonderful week.